Onto a developing story in Nigeria that we're keeping a very close eye on. It does seem that the country is hoarding cash yet again, amid some fairly bitter memories of a failed official campaign around this time last year to essentially demonetize high-value naira notes. Many ATMs in the country are reported to be unable to dispense cash, and bank branches, in fact, have actually cut the daily cash payment limit, in some cases to as low as $5.55, all the way from $22.15. Now, essentially, this aims to deal with the cash shortages that first started to emerge in October, but have progressively gotten worse as we get into the festive season. Let's get you the latest details on how this crisis is playing out. Deji Bademosi is joining us live from Lagos with more data on this. So, Deji, paint us a picture, if you will. Give us a sense of what the cash supply situation is like in Lagos right now.
Well, Rama, the cash situation is still really bad. The problem is still there. It's difficult to access cash. Quite a number of ATM machines, bank ATM machines now are not dispensing cash. The few that are dispensing cash, you have people, they're jammed. And not just that they're jammed, there is a limit to the amount that users are allowed to actually get from these ATM machines. And then for the POS operators as well, most of them also do not have cash. And so some of them have actually increased their transaction fee now in some places by 100%. And there are cases where the fee has gone up by more than 200%. So the problem is still there. And even the banks as well are not dispensing, they are not giving out enough cash. So if you were to withdraw cash over the counter, there's a limit to what you can be giving. Yesterday I was at the bank and I wanted cash. I was told the cashier there told me that they didn't have enough and that I wasn't going to get more than 20,000 naira. That's over the counter. And then I went to the ATM machine of the bank. There was no cash there. So the problem is still there, even though the government continues to give every assurance that the situation would improve.
Indeed. And last month, the CBN, in response to this very problem, said that the cash scarcity is, and I'm quoting them here, high volume withdrawals by banks and panic withdrawals by customers from ATMs. And that's despite the fact that they said, look, we'll let the old bills remain as legal tender indefinitely. So they've said, listen, there's no need to panic here. The money's still going to be available. But Nigerians, based on the behavior we're seeing, really don't believe them, do they?
Well, they don't believe them because, they're not seeing the cash anyway. Just a few days ago, the CBN came out to say, look, there's enough cash in circulation, saying that there's about 3.4 trillion naira now in circulation. But the problem is that people are not seeing the cash. And the CBN keeps saying, well, the banks have enough cash. And then you go to the bank. I just told you about myself that I went to the bank yesterday and I was told there was not enough cash. There was a limit to what the banks could give. So the CBN says something, but in reality, what you see at the banks and on the ground is completely different. ATM machines are not dispensing cash. So if the cash was available, for instance, you would expect that more ATM machines would be dispensing cash. Because if more ATM machines were dispensing cash, you wouldn't have this problem. If POS operators had cash to give, you wouldn't have this problem. So what the CBN says is different from what the reality is, and that's where the challenge is. But the good thing is that the Minister of Information had a press conference yesterday. This issue was brought up. The minister said in the coming weeks, before the end of the Christmas holiday, things would improve, that they're going to print new notes and all of that. So we're waiting to see. But in terms of this cash being available, as the CBN has said, we have not seen it. And of course, the CBN has said, well, some people are hoarding the cash. But the truth is that if the banks don't have enough cash to give, then it means there's a problem somewhere.
Indeed, and just looking at the numbers that you made reference to, that 3.4 trillion naira was about triple the amount of cash in circulation from February. So, there's a massive amount of cash that's come into the economy. if it is being hoarded, you've got to ask, where exactly is it? One last question for you. This cash crunch that we spoke about last year did trigger a steep rise in the number and the use of electronic payments. We saw a 50% year-on-year rise in November last year, for example, to around $43.2 billion in transactions. But are these payments by cards and mobile money, are they at the point now where they can replace cash, largely replace cash for most Nigerians?
Rama, I really don't think so, especially from what we're seeing. I mean, if they were at that point, then you would not have a situation where people would be complaining about shortage of cash. Of course, there's been a significant improvement. A lot now happens, in terms of mobile money, non-cash transaction. That has significantly improved, but we are still not at that point where you would say it would replace cash transaction. This is still very much a cash, if you like, a cash society. Most transactions are still done by cash in this country, and that's the reason why we have this problem. Of course, in the urban areas, urban cities, say cities like Lagos and some other big cities like Abuja and what have you, there is a high usage of non-cash transactions now. Non-cash transactions take place more. But if you talk about other states, especially rural states in this country, and that's where you have quite a significant number of Nigerians, then that challenge is still there. So I don't think we're at that point yet, but there's no question at all that there's been a significant shift from 2020 when we had the pandemic to now, and that it might take a couple of years before we have that total replacement, if you like. But at this point, Nigeria is still very much a cash society. But changes, these changes are happening, but we're just not there yet.